Whoa. Shifty, shifty, shifty. On time and reporting for duty, eh? Greg's so shaken. Hey, Naisa. Hey, Becca. Becca, how are you feeling? Are you better? Morning, morning, everybody. Hey, Des. Hey, Priscilla. Tim broke this morning. Thank goodness. Whew. They put in a cool path to the gardens, and now I feel like a fairy. Would love to see pictures of that. That sounds great. Sorry, I'm just opening a new box of Nespressos because we finished the last one. Pew, pew. I missed book club yesterday. I didn't watch on YouTube yet. Oh, no. Any slime live later? Not sure, Ellie. I'm not sure. I will let you all know. Also, I waterlogged my aloe vera plant. Oh, no. Slime live later will depend on how much work I get done as far as packing orders and stuff. I got a lot of orders last night from Patreon people, and I need to mail those out and pack those. There's no way that I can catch up because ADHD. Oh no, that's not good. Make the coffee. What are you doing here, friends? Morning! Oh my gosh, I know, the croc slime is so funny to me. Sasha, do you know any females that are Mario and Luigi themed? No, I haven't seen any. Are the latest book clubs uploaded? Yep, everything is uploaded up through yesterday. Yes, yes, yes. Everything is uploaded. I listen to book club and play The Sims on Saturdays, catch up day for me. I love that, that's so cute. Luigi's obsessed with Mario, mind you, he never played the game. Yeah, you know, little kids though, right? They are. Another shop uses Mario and Luigi Primos. That's good. Then they are out there somewhere. Powder. That powder just went up into my face and splashed me. Yeah, no problem, Julia. No problem. My cat jumped around. I was like, whoa, that's the kind of stuff you always wish you caught on video, right? At least I do. So tonight, I might have, depending on how I'm feeling, a virtual book club bachelorette party. Because Secret Fiance is going to be at his like fake bachelor party tonight, or whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to be here alone, and so it's like maybe I will read. All right, bye, Des. And I'm like, do we read another book, or do we just like read more of this series? I don't know. If we're gonna read more of this series, I have to go to the store today. It's not a big deal, Amanda. I don't need anyone to plan it. I'm just trying to figure out, like, morning, Jen, if I should go get the next book in the series so that we can, like, read more in the same thing. But the problem with that is that, like, if we read more of this series tonight, then we definitely aren't going to be, like, starting a new book like the first day of when I get back next week, you know? Can you make slime? I know how. I do know how. Yes, I do know how to make slime. It is true. I am what some might call an expert in the art of slime making. I am what some might call the definitive knowledge base on slime making as far as TikTok is concerned. Some might say I know how to make slime. Not everyone says that, but there are people who have said that. Yes. Yes, it's true. It's true. That has been said about me in the past. Do you have any other books in mind? I don't, Avery. That's the problem. Like, I'm sure we could probably finish, like, something else, you know, in one night, like something short or whatever. I don't know. Can you make crunchy slime? I can. I can, and in fact, I am good at it. Yes. Maybe I'll use tonight's live. No. I bet I could teach you to make good slime if you were here with me, Becca. Look at that beautiful baby. I need to make my slime idea a reality, but I don't have your skills. What's your slime idea, Grace? What is the idea? Good morning, Tiffany. I don't know why I said it in that voice. Sorry, that was weird. Why is it so expensive to get to you? That's a great question. You're the only one that knows how to make fun. I don't know about all that, but that is a cute thing to say. I like what you're saying. I don't know if that's true, but I'll take it, Night Mist. It's a beautiful compliment either way. So pretty it hurts, lyric from... Oh my gosh, that would be... we could totally do that. So like a good hurt, but like really pretty. So what you would want to do, I think... Why did it get dark all of a sudden? Did anyone notice that? Did the screen just like get like dim for anyone else? How am I supposed to read your comments if it's so dim in here? Hold on. That was weird. So Grace, there are a lot of like gemmy things that you could use for that. I always follow you when you have book club and you actually calm me down when I have a hectic day. Thank you, Night Miss. That's very sweet. Hey, Sloth. Good morning. So before we get started, if I do a nighttime live tonight for like a book club after dark thing, it'll probably be around like 8 o'clock my time, you know? That's probably what we'll do. Grace, DM me and I can send you some links. Yeah, it'll probably be around 8 o'clock if I do it tonight. It'll be like an after dark thing and I will let you know what it's going to be. I'm not promising it's going to be the same book because that will be contingent on me going to the bookstore and them actually having the next book in stock because we do not have enough to make it through that kind of thing. Yes, always IG, always, for sure, Grace. You know, we can talk on there easy. Hey, Jack, good timing. No, my slime guide does not have crunchy slime instructions yet. There's going to be an add-on guide coming soon that has crunchy slimes, but crunchy slimes are actually quite a bit more difficult than regular slimes, which is why I did not put them in the original slime guide because I was afraid that newbies would buy the original slime guide and jump right to the crunchy slimes and not follow the basics first. So the reason that is false, Amanda. Yeah, so getting around Fallout is so hard that I was afraid people would just jump right in and they would ignore. And so like I made my original slime guide to be like, these are all the ones that I think are the like simplest to start with. And so far so good. It turns out I was like kind of right, you know? That's what years of teaching does for you. You know, you learn how to teach people things. Going to school for it doesn't do as much as actually physically doing the teaching. Let me tell you that much. Yes, so if we have it tonight, it will be 8 o'clock and I will let you know what it's gonna be. Yeah, I crunched too fast and then overactivated and it was Fallout City. Exactly.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Grace. The thing about it is, people like Grace are intelligent enough to know that she made the mistake on her own, but not everyone has Grace's level of intelligence. In fact, like a very small portion of the population is as intelligent as Grace. So there are people out there that would make the mistake and it would be user error, but they would blame me anyway. And I was like, no, friends. You did not read the disclaimer. Did you see that it said this is not for you? Like people who buy Good Hurt slimes, even when they're like, actually Good Hurts hold together really well, but like there's like slimes that are difficult for newbies. I actually don't think that Good Hurts are that hard for newbies unless they have super sensitive hands. Good Hurts don't really have fallout in my experience. Has anyone ever had fallout from one of their Good Hurts unless it was like really old and just dying? I don't think so. I haven't experienced that. Yeah, me either, Grace. I think they hold together really well. And I think it's the nature of the add-ins, because Good Hurt add-ins have rough edges, so they hold better. Smoother add-ins are harder to, it's still dying and no fallout. There you go, Jack. See, this is a great answer. These are the type of things that I should be making videos about these things with you guys. Anyway, if anyone has any suggestions for a book to read tonight, in case I don't find the second book in the series, because they don't always have them locally, you know what I mean? And it's not like I can get it really fast online. I went to Target, it was not there. I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble, see if it's there, but if it's not, you know, we gotta read something else. We can get something else on Kindle. Fidflum has the most for me. Agreed. Anything circular. Not really. I had one in particular that bead fell out and none others, but added glue. There you go. There you go. All right, so I guess we could get this book on Kindle and then I could just order the physical book to have later. I did not get Tale of Magic at Target. I got this at Barnes & Noble. But Barnes & Noble doesn't always have all his books in order. Like when I was doing Land of Stories, sometimes they would have like book 1 and 2, but not 4. And they would have 3 and 5, but not 4. You know what I mean? Like whatever. What about from the author you recommended? Which one? Oh, Brandy June. I finished both of her books recently. I guess I could read it to you all. I guess I could read you all Goldspun. That's not terrible. Anyway, I could always get something on Kindle for us to read, and then I can just get the physical book for myself later, because with series like this that I love this much, I like having the physical books to put on my shelves to like finish the series. But I could get it on Kindle just for now. We can read it and then whatever, you know, I don't know. We'll think about it. I'll think about it throughout the day. We can talk about it in the book club chat and everybody can like, all right, anyway. Wow. That's the chapter art for this. Chapter 19, The Northern Front. It's gonna be big, you guys. It's gonna be a big one. We're getting towards the end. We're at page 408, and there's only like, well, that doesn't even have a number. 400, there's only 481 pages in this. We only have 80 pages left, basically, or less. Yeesh. What's Hillcrest? I don't know what that is. Anyway, here we go. Bristol and her classmates hurried out of the greenhouse canyon and trekked through the in-between as quickly as possible. The closer they traveled toward the Northern Kingdom, the more the temperature dropped, and each mile felt drastically colder than the one before. The children bundled themselves tightly in their coats to endure the chilly air, but the declining weather wasn't nearly as bothersome as their sinking spirits. Bristol's conversation with the Tree of Truth was difficult for her friends to process, and hearing about it took a visible toll on them. Even though Madame Weatherbury had lied to them for honorable reasons, the students and apprentices felt betrayed by their teacher. They lowered their heads and somberly walked through the forest in silence. This is why we don't lie. This is why we don't lie. People can't take it. You can't lie to people. It's not good. When the group reached the halfway point between the greenhouse and the Black Bear Cave, they took their first break since leaving the Enchanted Gardens. They sat down on a fallen log to rest their feet, and Bristol decided to address the issue on their minds before they continued any further. I understand that you are all disappointed, she said. It's never easy to find out that you've been lied to by someone you love, but if you really think about it, the truth about fairies and witches doesn't change anything. We're still the same people we were at the academy, and Madame Weatherbury is still the same person that we set out to save. Everything she's done, even writing the truth about magic and standing up to the Snow Queen, starting the academy, it's all been to protect and gain acceptance for the magical community. We can forgive her for making a few mistakes along the way, can't we? The students thought about Madame Weatherbury's intentions and ultimately agreed with Bristol's perspective, but the apprentices weren't convinced. Tangerina? Skylene? Bristol said, I know this is more difficult for you two because you've known Madame Weatherbury the longest, and it's perfectly fine to feel whatever you're feeling right now, but one day I think you'll look back on this and it's not just about Madame Weatherbury, Tangerina confessed. I've always thought fairies were better than witches, and I liked feeling better than something else. It helped me cope with the hatred the world put on us. Believing that I was born that way made me feel valuable, like the universe was on my side. Me too, Skylene said. And we hated witches just like humankind hates us, and now we know that we're not any better than witches, and we're not any better than humankind either. Bristol knelt in front of her troubled friends and placed a hand on both their knees. We're all just a couple of mistakes away from becoming the people that we despise, she said. So don't think worse of yourself, but let this change how you think of yourself. Start valuing who you are more than what you are. Prove that you're better than those people by showing more acceptance and empathy, and fuel your pride with what you earn and create instead of what you were born with. It's a little much for a Friday morning, Chris. Tangerina and Skylene went quiet as they considered Bristol's engaging proposal. The challenge she suggested wasn't easy, and it would take a lot of time and hard work, but her message inspired them to try. You're really good at pep talks, Tangerina said. Like, sometimes it's kind of weird how good at pep talks you are, Bristol laughed. I have a good teacher, she said. We all do. After a short break, the classmates continued through the in-between and toward Black Bear Cave. Every few steps, Bristol compulsively checked her geography book to make sure that they were going in the right direction. Within the hour, they arrived at an enormous cave at the side of a wide hill. The entrance was surrounded by several black boulders stacked to make the cave look like the mouth of a giant bear. He really does, Naisa. I'm guessing that's Black Bear Cave, Esmeralda said. Wait, do we have to go in there? Do we think there are bears in there? Xanthos asked. Probably, Lucy said. I doubt Black Bear Cave got its name for housing flamingos. Doesn't that worry anyone else? He asked. I mean, are we actually going to go inside Bear Cave with a girl covered in honey? Everyone turned to Tangerina and eyed her honeycomb jacket with concern. Oh, yeah, Bristol said. Xanthos brings up a really good point. Before they could discuss the possibility of precaution, the classmates were distracted by a freezing wind that blew through the forest. The wind was followed by a thunderous commotion, and suddenly the dark woods became much darker. The group looked up and saw the gray clouds of a terrible storm rolling in from the north. As the clouds covered the sky, a powerful snowstorm surged through the in-between like a white tsunami. What is going on? Tangerina asked. It's a blizzard, Bristol exclaimed. Everyone into the cave, now. The classmates dashed through the forest, and the blizzard chased after them like a swirling white monster. They arrived at the cave's entrance, and as the storm collided with the hillside, Bristol and her friends sprinted into the cave until the blizzard's icy winds couldn't reach them. That wasn't a normal blizzard, was it? Skylene asked. No, Bristol said. The Snow Queen's destruction is spreading beyond the Northern Kingdom. This isn't about saving Madame Weatherbury anymore. We've got to get to Tinsel Heights and stop the Snow Queen before the whole world is covered in one big storm. The future seemed grim, and as they journeyed deeper into Black Bear Cave, their environment became just as dark. Soon the cave was pitch black, and the classmates could barely see one another. They heard a thunderous commotion coming from ahead, and they worried the blizzard had found a way inside. Ah! Lucy screamed suddenly. What happened? Xanthos asked. Sorry, I just felt something hairy against my leg, Lucy said. Tangerina, was that you? Very funny, Tangerina said, but I am behind you. Bristol waved her wand and illuminated the cave with twinkling lights. All the classmates screamed when they discovered they were surrounded by over 100 black bears. Bristol and her friends grabbed one another and looked around the cave in terror, but luckily their panic was unnecessary because all the creatures were sound asleep on the ground. The snoring bears were even louder than the blizzard outside. Did someone give them simple slumber sleeping salt too? Skylene asked. No, they're hibernating, Emeralda said. But it's way too early for bears to be hibernating, Xanthos said. It's still spring. The weather must be confusing them, Emeralda said. I doubt they've had much time to gather food to survive for very long. Nothing is going to survive a winter that lasts forever, Bristol said. Now everyone look for an abandoned goblin tunnel. The Tree of Truth said that it's somewhere at the back of the cave. The classmates searched every corner of the cave and finally found a tunnel flanked by 2 horrifying goblin statues. I know, right? Yeah, it could have been 3 bears, and that still would have been scary, but you went with 100 bears? Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Bristol waved her wand, and all the twinkling lights throughout the cave flew into the tunnel to light the passageway. The classmates saw that it was perfectly round, and its walls were carved with symbols from ancient goblin language, and it seemed virtually endless as it stretched into the distance. Oh, I've never heard of that, Avery. Before her classmates could get intimidated by the lengthy tunnel, Bristol led them inside. The students and apprentices walked for hours and hours. The passageway appeared to stretch in a perfectly straight line beneath the in-between. Bristol tried to trace their steps in her geography book, but the tunnel wasn't recorded on any of the maps, so it was impossible to tell exactly where they were. Eventually, the tunnel split into 2 different directions, and Bristol had the nerve-wracking task of choosing which way to go. Well, Emeralda asked her, where should we go? Bristol looked back and forth at the tunnels, and she glanced up and down at her geography book, but she had no idea where either branch was headed. I think Tinsel Heights is to the right. Wait, no, no. It's to the right. Bristol marched into the tunnel on her right confident that she was making the correct decision. Her classmates followed her, but a few yards into the new tunnel, they noticed someone was missing. Bristol looked back and saw Lucy lingering behind them. Lucy, what are you doing? Bristol asked. We're going the wrong way, Lucy said. We should take the tunnel to the left. No, the tunnel to the right makes more sense, Bristol said. Trust me, I've thought about this. Black Bear Cave is the southeast of the Northern Kingdom, which means that the tunnel is heading in the northwest direction, and if the tunnel continues in a straight line, it's more likely that Tinsel Heights will be on our right than on our left. Stop thinking logically, Lucy said. Goblins aren't logical creatures. They didn't care how straight the tunnel was. They just dug it until they found something. But my gut is telling me we should go to the right, Bristol said. And my gut is telling me we should go to the left, Lucy said. Look, we always joke that I have a speciality for trouble, and right now I sense a lot of trouble coming from the left. But if you trust me on this, I can feel it in my bones. Bristol was hesitant to change directions. Her eyes darted between Lucy and the geography book, but she couldn't decide whose instinct to follow. If they made the wrong choice, they would never make it to the Northern Kingdom in time to save Madame Weatherbury. Fortunately, Bristol didn't have to make the decision on her own. I think we should trust Lucy, Tangerina said. Everyone was shocked by Tangerina's faith in Lucy. Really? Bristol said. You do? Absolutely, Tangerina said. If there's one thing Lucy knows, it's how to stumble into a bad situation. Her gut never leads us to safety. Lucy opened her mouth to argue, but then went silent because she knew Tangerina was right. None of her classmates objected to Tangerina's recommendation. They all knew Lucy had a knack for trouble. Bristol took a deep breath and prayed that her friend was correct. All right, she said. We're going to the left. A couple of miles into the left tunnel, Bristol was finally able to breathe easy. The passage began curving to the right and headed in the direction Bristol had thought the other tunnel would take them. She checked the map of magic and was extremely relieved to see her and her classmates' stars appear in the Northern Kingdom. You were right, Lucy, Bristol said. We're almost at Tinsel Heights. Lucy shrugged like it wasn't a big deal. Don't mention it, she said. I got a sixth sense for danger. I don't mean to interrupt this warm moment of recognition, Emeralda said, but do we have a plan for how we're going to save Madame Weatherbury and stop the Snow Queen once we reach Tinsel Heights? Bristol had been mulling over a strategy since they entered Black Bear Cave. She was so focused on getting to Tinsel Heights that she hadn't told the others what to expect when they arrived. The Tree of Truth told me that the Snow Queen is keeping Madame Weatherberry in Tinsel Palace, Bristol said. We'll go to the palace, we'll lure the Snow Queen out with a distraction, and once she's away, we'll go inside, we'll find Madame Weatherberry. Then we'll wait for the Snow Queen to return, we'll take her by surprise, and unalive her? Skylene said. Yes, Bristol said with difficulty. How are we going to do that? Xanthos said. I suppose there are more possibilities now that we know witchcraft is an option. Bristol knew that part of the plan was inevitable, but she didn't know how they were going to go through with it. Despite suffering and damage that the Snow Queen had caused, Bristol couldn't fathom hurting her, let alone ending her life. I'm not sure yet, she told the others, but I will think of something. As they reached the outskirts of Tinsel Heights, the abandoned Goblin Tunnel came to a dead end at a huge pile of collapsed rocks. At the top of the pile, they could see beams of light coming from above ground. Bristol figured this was a good place to depart the tunnel, and so she transformed the rocks into a staircase, and the classmates climbed to the surface. As the group emerged from underground, the air was so cold, the passing breeze burned their skin. Every last inch of the area for miles and miles around was covered in thick snow, and even more snow fell from the gray clouds above. They had arrived at the base of a towering mountain range with sharp peaks and steep slopes. In the distance to the north, the classmates spotted the pointed towers of Tinsel Palace peeking out from behind the mountaintops. In the distance to the south, in the heart of the valley below the mountain range, was the small town of Appleton Village. The village was the only place in the Northern Kingdom that hadn't been destroyed, and it was obvious that the country's entire population was gathered there. Oh, God, Nysa, I will literally bawl my eyes out if that happens. I will bawl. I can't. What are you trying to do to me? The cottages and homes and shops surrounding the sea were surrounded by a sea of tents for all the refugees that had fled there. Not only did they find themselves in the center of a wintry storm, but the classmates also had surfaced to the middle of a war zone. The base of the mountain was filled with soldiers frantically preparing for battle. A tall man with a black beard gave orders to the soldiers as they ran around him. Bristol assumed that that was General White, the one she had heard about. Get those cannons into position, the general shouted. As for the rest of you, I want 1 row behind me and 2 rows ahead of me. We must use whatever weapons and strength we have left. This is our last chance to save the kingdom. We cannot let her pass the mountains. I repeat, we cannot let her pass the mountains. Just a few dozen men were all that remained of the Northern Kingdom's army. After months of combat, every soldier was exhausted, battered, and bruised, and the majority of their armor was damaged or missing. However, the men valiantly pushed through the pain and followed their general's demands. These guys aren't going to make it through another battle, Lucy told her classmates. We got to do something. Me too, Avery. I was wondering that yesterday. I agree, Bristol said. We'll help the soldiers first, and then we'll go to the palace. The students and apprentices hiked through the snow towards General White. The general was so busy commanding soldiers that he didn't notice the classmates until they were only a couple of feet away. And what the heck are you doing here? He shouted. General White, we are here to help you, Bristol said. This is no place for children, the general said. Get to the village immediately. You don't understand. We're Madame Weatherberry's students, she explained. Who? The general asked. Madame Weatherberry, Bristol said. She's the woman who's been helping you fight. I don't have time for this, General White shouted. Go to the village before you get yourselves hurt. Bristol didn't want to waste any time either. She needed much more than words to earn General White's trust. With a flick of Bristol's wand, all the soldiers' damaged armor was magically repaired, and their missing plates and pieces reappeared. General White and his men couldn't believe their eyes as Bristol's magic filled the holes in their broken shields and popped the dents in their smashed helmets and returned their lost gloves and footwear. All right, you can stay, the general told her, but don't say I didn't warn you. Tell us how we can help, Bristol said. What do you need and what do your men need? We need a miracle, he said. And just then, one of the soldiers blew a horn, and the entire army took a turn toward the mountains. The classmates looked up as a menacing figure appeared on the closest mountaintop. The figure wore a tall crown that was shaped like a giant snowflake, and the bulky coat made from white fur, and she carried a long icicle scepter. Bristol borrowed a soldier's telescope and saw that the figure was a woman with glowing red eyes and black frostbitten skin. Her hands were so thin and bony that they resembled tree branches. Without a doubt, the students and apprentices knew that they were staring at the infamous Snow Queen. Their first glimpse at the most powerful witch in the world was a chilling sight. They shivered from much more than just the cold air. "She's here!" General White shouted. "Prepare for battle!" As the soldiers hurried into position, the Snow Queen was joined on the mountaintop by 4 people wearing familiar black cloaks. The classmates gasped in horror when they recognized the cloaked women standing at the Snow Queen's side. "That's Crobella, Nutalia, Squidella, and Feline," Skylene said. "It can't be," Tangerina said. "Well, what are they doing with the Snow Queen?" Xanthos asked. They're supposed to be helping Madame Weatherbury." Bristol felt warmer as anger coursed through her body. There was only one reason to explain why the witches were standing at the Snow Queen's side. "They must have tricked Madame Weatherbury," Bristol explained. "The witches are working for the Snow Queen." "Those gizzard suckers," Lucy yelled. Now it made sense why the witches were so desperate for Madame Weatherbury to return to the Northern Kingdom when she wasn't ready. The weaker the fairy was, the easier it would be for the Snow Queen to overpower her. There was no way of knowing how long the witches had been planning their betrayal, but Bristol had a feeling that it was their plan from the very beginning. "Load the cannons!" General White ordered. "Sir, we have nothing to load them with," a soldier called to him. "We're out of ammunition." "I can help you with that," Emeralda said. She knelt on the ground and quickly started scooping the snow into large snowballs. Once they were the size of cannonballs, Emeralda transformed the snowballs into heavy emerald spheres, and she passed them to the soldiers. "Will these work?" she asked. It didn't take long for the men to understand what Emeralda was doing. The soldiers dropped to the ground and made more snowballs for Emeralda to transform, and then loaded the emerald spheres into their cannons. "Prepare to fire!" General White shouted. "On 3, 1, 2! Before they could fire their first round, the Snow Queen pointed her scepter at the army, and a massive blizzard descended from the sky. There was so much snow that all the soldiers and the classmates could see around them. The winds were so powerful that Bristol and her friends locked arms to keep from falling. "Fire!" General White shouted. "Sir, we can't see anything in the snow," a soldier called back. "I can fix that," Tangerina said. The apprentice closed her eyes and concentrated with all her might. Her bumblebees vacated her hair and flew directly into the storm. The classmates didn't understand what she was doing, and soon they realized that Tangerina's concentration stretched far beyond their expectations. Thousands and thousands of bumblebees flew into the blizzard from all over the Northern Kingdom. The swarm moved through the air like a giant buzzing net, and soon the insects caught the snowflakes in their tiny legs. Soon the air was clear enough that the blizzard was nothing more than a few gusts of empty wind. General White did not take the clear conditions for granted. "Now!" he ordered. "Fire at will!" The soldiers lit their cannons and pelted the mountain with Emeralda's ammunition. The emerald spheres got closer and closer to where the Snow Queen stood. The witch roared angrily and pointed her scepter out of the sky, and it struck the base of the mountain. Suddenly, the ground started to rumble under the army's feet. One by one, hundreds of terrifying snowmen grew out of the snowy ground and crept toward the soldiers like a legion of ice zombies. Yikes. "Attack!" General White shouted. The army charged ahead and battled the Snow Queen's frosty warriors. The soldier courageously fought the snowmen, but they were greatly outnumbered. Oh my gosh, just like, you're right. Becca, don't say it. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Oh God. No, Becca, why did you say it? Don't say it. The soldiers courageously fought the snowmen, but they were greatly outnumbered. Bristol knew she and her classmates had to intervene before the soldiers were in trouble. Emeralda, keep making those cannonballs. Tangerina, keep clearing the air with your bees. Lucy, Xanthos, and Skylene, follow me. We're going to help the soldiers fight the snowmen. Yeah, let's kick some ice, Lucy cheered. The classmates ran across the base of the mountain and joined the men in combat. Bristol waved her wand and sent the snowmen flying through the air in large bubbles. She used rainbows like colorful slingshots to fling them into the mountains. Lucy crushed the snowmen with falling pianos, tubas, and harps. No, Jen, it's in this book. As Madame Weatherbury keeps coming back from there, she has to cover her hands with gloves because her skin is getting all decrepit and weird. I think that's what Becca's referring to. I don't think it was from the other books. I think it was from the beginning of this book. Every time Madame Weatherbury comes back, she's more and more covered. Her skin. Scary. I don't like it. I think Jack might have been right all along. Beans. Lucy crushed the snowmen with falling pianos, tubas, and harps, and she made deep sinkholes appear at their feet. Xanthos and Skylene put their magic together and melted the snowmen with jets of boiling water. With the classmates' help, the Northern Kingdom's army tore through the snowmen like they were made of paper. The Snow Queen was infuriated to see her adversaries succeeding and seething from the mountaintop. "This is perfect," Bristol said. "Really?" Lucy asked her. "Do you have any other battles to compare it to?" "No, I mean, this is the perfect distraction," Bristol said. "I'm going to sneak into Tinsel Palace and rescue Madame Weatherbury while the Snow Queen is occupied." "Bristol, no," Skylene objected. "We won't let you face the Snow Queen on your own," Xanthos said. "I don't plan to," she said. "If the Snow Queen heads back to the palace, then you follow her and meet me there. But right now, she's fixated on the Northern Kingdom's army. This might be the best opportunity that we have to save Madame Weatherbury." Bristol's plan made her classmates nervous and also made Sasha nervous. But as they looked up at the Snow Queen's unwavering gaze on General White and his men, they knew that Bristol was right. "Well, be careful," Lucy said. "I'm too young for you to die." "I will," Bristol said. "Look out for each other while I'm gone." Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wait, before we continue, I have something that I think I need to put out there to see if it's right. Do you all, anyone who was here for the Land of Stories, do you remember that when Fairy Godmother passed away in Land of Stories, Mother Goose said that she was taking a secret with her to her grave that Lucy was gonna hold for? I wonder if it's that she lets Madame Weatherbury go without anyone knowing. I wonder if Lucy's the only one that knows that she did that. And that's why the Snow Queen's still out there in the other books. Do you think that's the secret that she takes to her grave? That she was too weak to do it because it was her mentor? Talk about everything coming together. Chris is so smart. I love him. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. "I will," Bristol said. "Look out for one another while I'm gone." When she was certain that the witches weren't looking, Bristol discreetly dashed into the mountainside and climbed towards the towers of Tinsel Palace. Bristol kept a watchful eye on the Snow Queen as she went and carefully traveled around the witch without being noticed. Eventually, the soldiers and classmates gained the upper hand on the snowmen. The Snow Queen decided that it was time to send in reinforcements, and she nodded to the witches standing beside her, Crowbeth, Nutelia, Squidella, and Phaeline, descended down the mountain to enter the battle. Although they had always stood and walked like people, the witches threw off their cloaks and revealed bodies that were more animal than human. Instead of arms, Crowbeth had large feathery wings like a hawk. Nutelia had long, scaly torso that coiled like the body of a snake. Squidella had 8 flexible limbs with tentacles like octopus. Phailene's body was covered with fur, and instead of hands and feet, she had paws with razor-sharp claws. Each of the witches set their sights on a different classmates and preyed upon the children. Crowbeth spread her wings and swooped through the air, snatching Lucy off the ground like an evil eagle catching a squirrel. She raised the girl high into the air and dangled her above the clouds. Lucy squirmed helplessly in the witch's clutches, and Crowbeth cackled as she struggled. "I hope you enjoy your fall as much as you've enjoyed our winter," Crowbeth screeched. Lucy closed her eyes and tried to summon a mighty force to save her. Just as Crowbeth was about to drop her, a flock of squawking geese appeared on the horizon and flew to Lucy's rescue. The geese attacked Crowbeth, using their beaks to pluck the witch's feathers and rip holes in her wings. Soon, Crowbeth's wings were so damaged that she couldn't keep herself in the air, and the witch plummeted into the mountains. The geese grasped Lucy with their beaks and safely lowered her back to the ground. "Well, you're not the birds of prey that I was picturing, but you're the best gaggle a girl could ask for," Lucy told the geese. On the ground below, Xanthos and Skylene went back to back as they were circled by Nutelia and Squidella. They tried to hit the witches with bursts of fire and water, but Nutelia and Squidella dodged each of their efforts with ease. In one slick spinning motion, Squidella struck Xanthos' face with all 8 of her limbs, excuse me. The boy fell to the ground and his eyes fluttered shut, and all the flames on his body disappeared. Squidella lurched toward the unconscious boy and wrapped her limbs around him and started to squeeze him to blank, you know. "It's time to put your flames out forever," Squidella grumbled. However, Xanthos had other plans. When Squidella was least expecting it, Xanthos awoke from his pretend blackout and tightly fastened his muter metal around the witch's neck. Squidella frantically tried to pull the muter metal off, but her tentacles couldn't untie Xanthos' small knot. As her powers began to fade, Squidella collapsed and flopped onto the ground like a fish out of water. The witch thrashed across the snow, accidentally rolling into one of Lucy's sinkholes, and never resurfaced. Skylene, did you see that? Xanthos asked. I stopped the flames, all by myself. I stopped my flames. I didn't even need the voodoo metal. Skylene? His friend didn't respond because she had her hands full. Skylene was pointing at Nutelia and blasting the witch with the most powerful geyser that she could muster. Unfortunately, the water wasn't enough to stop Nutelia from creeping closer. The witch dived into Skylene's geyser and swam through it like it was a stream. Nutelia slithered closer to grab hold of Skylene, and the witch lifted the girl by her collar. You stupid girl, Nutelia hissed. Do you actually think water would stop me? If I'm being honest, Skylene said, I wasn't trying to stop you. Nutelia had no clue what the girl was talking about, but suddenly the witch became very stiff. Her drenched body started to freeze in the cold wind, and soon Nutelia was as solid as a statue. Skylene pushed her over, and the witch hit the ground and shattered into a million pieces. Skylene, that was brilliant, Xanthos said. How did you know that that was going to work? Magic is no excuse to ignore science, she said with a shrug. Across the way, Tangerina was still deep in concentration, and she reduced the blizzard with her bumblebees. Faline snuck up behind the apprentice and knocked her to the ground, leaving a bloody scratch across Tangerina's face. The girl tried to trap the witch with her honey, but Faline jumped out of the way, avoiding each attempt. You and your friends will never win this fight, Faline growled. I'm pretty sure we are winning it, Tangerina said. My friends have already defeated yours. Faline's green eyes glanced around the base of the mountain, and she roared angrily when she realized that she and the Snow Queen were the only witches left. My sisters may be gone, but I still have 9 of my lives left, she growled. Faline lunged toward Tangerina, but right as she was about to strike the girl again, she was interrupted by someone in the clearing. Can I not read? What is wrong with me? By someone clearing their throat. The witch looked over her shoulder and saw Emeralda standing right behind her. You may have 9 lives, but diamonds are forever, she said. Emeralda grabbed Faline's paw and squeezed it as hard as she could, and inch by inch, the witch's body was slowly transformed into one large jewel, and Faline never growled or scratched or jumped again. You're a real gem, Emeralda, Tangerina said. Thank you for that. As the students and apprentices defeated the witches, General White and his soldiers conquered the last batch of snowmen. Their successful defense infuriated the Snow Queen, and the witch screamed so loudly that her voice echoed through the mountain range. Well, she doesn't look very happy, Tangerina said. What's she gonna do next? Skylene said. Well, whatever it is, it's not gonna be pretty, Emeralda said. Hey, General White, Lucy called him. The Snow Queen's about to show us the ace up her sleeve. Go to Appleton Village and evacuate while you still can. You won't save your kingdom by sticking around here. Help your people safely across the in-between and take them to the Southern Kingdom. We'll hold the Snow Queen off for as long as we can. Thank you, General White said, and saluted the classmates. Godspeed, children. General White led his army toward Appleton Village, and the classmates stayed at the base of the mountain, waiting with bated breath for the Snow Queen to make her move. An eerie smile appeared on the witch's frostbitten face as she plotted her next attack. The Snow Queen slammed her scepter into the mountaintop and caused a powerful earthquake to rattle through the mountain range. The snow slid off of the steep mountain slopes, and soon an avalanche of catastrophic proportions was hurling toward the classmates. If they didn't do something to stop it, and something quick, the classmates, the village, and the entire Northern Kingdom's population would be decimated in a matter of minutes. Xanthos, I think this one's all on you, buddy, Lucy said. What? He asked in shock. I guess up an avalanche. You're the one with the right skill set, she said. You gotta create a blast of heat that's powerful enough to vaporize that thing. I don't have that kind of power, Xanthos said. Yes, you do, Lucy said. You've got to believe in yourself, or the whole kingdom will be destroyed. The avalanche was growing, gaining speed as it raced down the mountain. It was so strong that it snapped the trees in its path like twigs. It knocked over the boulders that had never been moved. The closer it got, the more frightened Xanthos was. Lucy's words of encouragement weren't helping him, so she tried a different approach. Think about the night that your father died, she said. Xanthos was very confused. Well, why would I do that? He asked. Think about how your father had beat you for playing with dolls, Lucy continued. Think about the fire that killed him and burned down your house. Think about all the shame and guilt that you had to live with ever since. Think about how you wanted to drown yourself in that lake. The traumatic memories made Xanthos' flames rise on his head and shoulders. I don't understand, he said. What does any of this have to do with... Think of all the time you spent hating yourself. Think of all the days that you lived in fear of being discovered. Think of all the people who told you that it was wrong to be who you are. Think about how badly you wanted to change into someone else. Lucy was upsetting Xanthos, and his body was soon engulfed in flames. Well, why are you bringing this up now? He asked. Because I know a part of you still hates yourself for being different. A part of you still lives with fear of the truth. A part of you still believes you don't deserve to exist. And part of you still believes you'll never be loved for who you are. I know how you feel, because we all feel that way. Fire started pouring out of Xanthos like lava flowing from a volcano. Stop it, Lucy, he cried. I don't want to do this. And you don't have to anymore. None of us do. Stop carrying that shame around with you. Stop wanting to change yourself. Stop worrying that no one will love the real you. None of us have anything to be ashamed of. None of us have anything to change. And we'll always love and accept each other. So let go of that hate and the fear that other people have instilled in you. Let go of it so you never have to feel it again. The avalanche plowed into the base of the mountain, and the classmates were just seconds from being pulverized. Now's your chance, Xanthos, Lucy shouted. Release all the pain and stop that avalanche from the mountain. No, Xanthos cried. I can't do it. Yes, you can, she yelled. Let it out, Xanthos. Let it out. The boy fell to his knees, screamed as a massive explosion erupted from inside him. As Xanthos' fiery blast collided with the avalanche, the entire mountain range was consumed in a blinding light. Emeralda pulled Lucy, Tangerine, and Skyline into a tight huddle as they created an emerald igloo to shield them from the heat and snow. By the time the light faded, not only had the avalanche completely disappeared, but all the snow at the base of the mountain had melted away too. The classmates peeped out from Emeralda's igloo and looked around in amazement. Xanthos couldn't believe what he had done. He stared at the land with wide, bewildered eyes. The boy had turned to his friends with a bashful grin. That felt really good, he whispered. Boy, am I glad that worked, Lucy said. The Snow Queen was so enraged that the classmates had stopped the avalanche. Her frostbitten hands were shaking. The witch turned in a huff and headed back to Tinsel Palace. Look, she's leaving, Skyline pointed out. Well, what's she doing? Tangerina asked. She's retreating, Lucy said. Come on, we have to get to the palace before she finds Bristol. Come on. Come on. Okay, we have to finish this tonight, right? Like, we have to. We just have to. Oh my God. Oh my God. Outrageous. Outrageous. We will finish this tonight because I think we only have 3 chapters left. I can't right now, Mary, because I have a lot of work doing. Secret Fiance has an early meeting today, so I have to be on the quiet side when it has a meeting. But we will finish it tonight. We'll finish it tonight for sure. For sure. I will see you all later. I think so, Anya. Yeah. I did already, Becca. It's already there. So they're all up to date. Everything except today's is already up on the YT. And I will post this one after this. And it will be all cut up. So, does anyone have any predictions for the end before we finish it tonight? Like, who thinks that it's Madame Weatherbury? Oh, I would refresh because I uploaded them this morning. Maybe they're just like in processing. Who thinks it's Madame Weatherbury and who thinks it's someone else? And does anyone think we're going to see Pip again? Or do you think that's going to be in the next book? I don't know. I know, me too, Sloth. I think it might be Madame Weatherbury, but I don't want it to be. Yeah, Julia, it's like a fake bachelorette party. I predict I'll probably cry tonight. Same, Avery, I predict I will cry. I think it's a sister. I think Pip's coming back next book. You think Pip saves the day? That would be so cute. In the next book with Pip? Yeah, maybe. If I find it today, we can start it tonight if we finish this one fast. All right, well, I will see you all later. Pip has to come back, right? Aww. Oh, that's really cute, Priscilla. That would be really cute. Yeah, I might just do that, Naisa, and then like physically buy the book online and have it delivered. Yeah. Because I need them to all sit next to each other on the shelf. They're just so pretty, you know? They look so nice on my little shelfie shelf. And plus I have all the Land of Stories physically, and then yada, 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 all that jazz. Okay, I'm gonna go get work done, pack orders, because we got a lot of orders last night. I will see you all later. Oh God, that's so heartbreaking, Jack. They seem to mostly be sold in sets. Yeah, but my store didn't have them in full sets. This is a weird thing, Becca. Like, my store like had them like in weird batches. It's weird. But since I have this one now, I will just buy 2 and 3. I'll just buy 2 and 3 at the same time so they just get here. Okay, I will see you all later. Have a great day until then. Mwah.